I say all that to ask you this, point blank. Is this team tanking?
What, Houston?
Yes. Speaking of weird shit, just kidding, Kelly Iko. You're not weird at all. Joining me on the show right now, my buddy, my pal, my guy. Here to talk Houston Rockets and NBA. He joins me on Barry on Deck every Thursday at 3:30. It is Kelly Iko of The Athletic. Mr. Iko, how are you, my friend?
Doing good. It's actually kind of sunny outside. Nice change of weather.
I know, right? It's feeling good. It's not too hot yet. Look, man, we got a lot to get to. Stuff is happening around this Rockets team and around the NBA. Moves are being made. The trade deadline, we're 7 days away. We're a week away from the trade deadline. So I guess on next Thursday, you and I are going to have a really interesting conversation, right? Because that's going to be trade deadline day for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk PJ Tucker. Let's talk about this deal for the Rockets. I just want your opinion. I saw you had a great article on it. By the way, you guys go follow Kelly Iko on Twitter and subscribe to The Athletic so you can get his insight and takes on all of this stuff, Houston Rockets and NBA. What were your thoughts? What did you write about?
Well, the main theme of what I wrote was that it was a deal that was up, and PJ's time in Houston was clearly up. They're in two different directions that, as an organization and as a player, he wants to contend. The Rockets are in a rebuilding mode right now, transitional period. And the Rockets wanted to do good by him and sending him somewhere where he could still compete for a championship, as well as trying to get as much value back for him as it could. Now, getting the 2 first-round picks to swap and trying to move up at like 5 or 8 spaces is pretty good value for him at this stage. They also got back DJ Augustine, DJ Wilson, 2 guys who may stay, who could be moved again. But the overall theme of the trade was it was just time for both people to move on, and they did.
And he didn't fit here. He didn't fit going forward. The DJs that they got for him, I saw one trade evaluation said they felt bad for DJ Augustine because this was his chance to win a championship. They felt like the other DJ might actually benefit from getting some playing time on this squad, especially when as bad as they are right now. But the picks are the intriguing part. And I think that's where, I think both teams won the trade, right? The Bucks got the depth that they were looking for. They got another weapon in the corner to knock down threes. If they want to go small ball, they can do that. They can put him in small forward. So the Rockets get the picks, and I think that's good. They have the right to move up to grab Milwaukee's pick as long as it's not 1 through 9. So it's 1 through 9 protected. Milwaukee ain't drafted 9th or better this year. It's just not going to happen. So the Rockets essentially pick up another first-round pick in a deep draft. And I was breaking that down where, they could potentially pick 4th or better and, back into the draft and get another asset in a really deep draft. So I say all that to ask you this, point blank. Is this team tanking?
What, Houston?
Yes.
I don't think so. I don't think. The thing about Houston is that yes, the past month has been dreadful basketball, but I don't think that those guys are actively trying to lose. I just think they could try their hardest to win and still lose. Like, they've lost 18 in a row. So they've lost any way possible you could imagine, losing leads, coming back, just stuff like that. It's just been awful. So I don't think they're actively tanking. No, I think they're still prideful guys that when you see John Wall, you see Oladipo, you see Steven Silas. His first year as a head coach. I don't think he would wait this long to get a job and want to lose games on purpose. It doesn't make sense.
Unless Kelly, Rafael Stone and Tillman Fertitta and everybody sees if we get a top 5 pick, we could literally replace James Harden with another cornerstone piece along with Christian Wood. Forget about everything else. Forget about Wall and any other trade. You're talking about you want to rebuild quickly, add 2 studs like that, and this team is immediately a playoff contender if they get a top 5 pick along with Christian Wood next year. Not guaranteed playoffs, but they are definitely a contender.
Right. So I don't think that they're trying to tank, but I don't think
they mind it.
I don't think they mind it. I don't think they mind, if that makes sense. Yeah.
But and look, I asked this and a lot of people are saying it. And when you see the bottom last night and you see that Oladipo is sitting out with a quad and John Wall and basically all of the names that could be traded before next Thursday, before we talk again, Wall, which I don't think they're going to move his contract, but maybe. But Wall, Oladipo probably gone. Ben McLemore, you brought up that name before. If Eric Gordon was healthy, he probably wouldn't be playing because he'd have some mysterious injury. It just looks a little sus that those guys really aren't playing at all. And we know Christian Wood is untouchable and he's back in the mix. You can see why people would at least think that they weren't trying their best, right?
Well, in Victor's case, he did play, I think it was 41 minutes the previous night. And as you've seen the last 3 or 4 years, the Rockets tend to keep those guys off one of the two of the back-to-backs, like Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook. They tend to not to overplay those guys.
Fair enough.
But I've been seeing it on Twitter, like I said, that he's sure playing good right now when the deadline is a week away. But that's
showcasing. But I mean, he's showcasing, right?
But I mean, look, anything he's doing is increasing his value right now because he's showing that he can still be a productive player. Even off the injury, he's still someone that if you're a contending team or a team on the mid range, you can still add him to your run, increase your profile that much. So I think anything that he does positive is not only good for himself, but it's good for Houston.
Well, I was going to say, let's think about it. Let's evaluate it from a different perspective. Oladipo goes out and drops 34, gets national coverage for his game. Would it surprise you if he didn't play again till the deadline? Because that's the signature game that teams can look at and go, well, he still has it. Because if he goes out tomorrow or next game and puts up, 8 and 3 and just running around, whatever, on a bad team, like teams could look at that and go, I don't know, because he's coming back from the injury. He wasn't even in Indiana when he left. But that's a way to say, look, he can still go out and give you 34 in the playoffs. Come get this dude and give us something good for him. So, I mean, I'm not saying that's the case, but that wouldn't be surprising either. Hey, go out and give us one great game. You won't have to play again until we trade you.
Well, I think he did have 2 really good games on national TV against Brooklyn, where he scored, 37? Mm-hmm. And this week when he scored 34, I believe. So I think teams are well aware of what he can do. It's just he's been hurt for so long, and see how he fared coming back. And we've seen the ups and downs of his season so far, especially with the ball in his hands. He hasn't been that great in pull-up situations. He hasn't been great driving, but he's been really good at catch and shoot situations and just spacing the floor and opening up lanes for other drivers and stuff like that. So Victor's still a good player. I would, if I was an opposing team that wants to get him, like maybe a New York or Denver or something, I wouldn't be surprised, or even a Boston. I wouldn't put too much stock into the ups and downs of his season so far.
By the way, I totally forgot that I didn't even use your background.
Yeah.
I didn't even, what was I doing? Why didn't you remind me? Why didn't you say, hey, bro, I'm not continuing with this until you put up my fancy basketball background with my name on the screen. You're going to put some respect on my Kelly Iko name, homie. But you didn't even say it. I just realized, I was like, oh, shit.
It slipped my mind. I told you it's hot outside.
Mine too. I didn't even think. I was like, where's the basketball at? I'm like I'm watching. Like, I'm not even running all this. I was like, where's the basketball? I was like, well, you stupid ass, you put it on the screen. All right, next question. You can only pick one of the juniors. Kevin Porter or Kenyon Martin, and why?
Picking Kevin. Because offensively, he just looks that much more potent. He's someone that the defenses already respect. His gravity is real. When he has the ball in his hands, he's a wizard with the ball in his hands. He's creative. He has the swagger. He can pull up. He can step back. He can drive. He has the vision to make off some nice passes for his teammates. He has that. He's that kind of player that has that it factor. Even as a second-year player who's gone through a lot in his first 2 years in his career, but he's someone that you can clearly see that he has the tools to be a great player in this league. He just needs the right system, the right support around him, and the right players with him.
Is he going to be a point guard or a shooting guard or a hybrid?
I think it's going to be a hybrid. I think it is going to be similar to how James came up in this league. Like, everyone knows that how James came up as a six-man and shooting guard. Then he eventually found out that his best skill is on the ball all the time, and that's what the Rockets wanted him to do, to just play with John and handle the second unit and just be able to use his IQ and ability to lead those second units in reserve. So I think he is going to be a hybrid guard.
No doubt. I mean, look, if you have Kevin Porter Jr., Christian Wood, and you get a top 4 pick, It may be another year or two, but the rebuild is in full motion at that point. Would you agree with that?
Exactly, and that's the point I'm trying to make. Like this, I don't think. Obviously, you've seen teams that rebuild that go on long rebuilds that keep getting picked. I don't think the Rockets want to do that. I think they want a quick turnaround. Get a good guy. They have enough picks to now go ahead and make a trade for somebody else if that presents itself, and kind of get back to being a playoff team. I think Christian Wood is fantastic. John Wall, he's played well since he's returning. If they keep Victor, great. If they don't, they can get something back for him. Kevin is still there, and then you bring in somebody else, fill out the roster. You never know what this team could do.
Now, you mentioned John Wall. Last question for you, and then I'll let you go because I know you got a busy week ahead of you.
Right.
When it comes to John Wall and the Rockets, when can we expect him to not be a Rocket anymore? By the trade deadline? By the end of the contract? What's the future with John Wall and the Houston Rockets?
Well, for John, I think he would be here past the deadline. I think that would be pretty surprising if they dealt him at the deadline. He's played so well since he came back from the injury. As far as long term, I could see him staying a couple more years, maybe 2 more years. It's a good spot for him if he wants to get his numbers up. That's for sure. He's looked well. He likes being here. He likes the coaches, like his teammates, and Houston's a good city to be in. So I don't see why they would rush to move him unless obviously a deal came where they just blew them away, where they had to take the value from him. But I think John's pretty safe.
All right, last question because I still have 3 minutes for 15 minutes no matter what. So I mean not no matter what, but last night Giannis playing the 76ers. Do you make a big deal out of him sitting on the court? I know that was the big thing. They kind of felt disrespected, and then he's talking cheesecakes. Was it a big deal that Giannis sat on the court?
No. Giannis does something like this every year in midseason. At some point, he's gonna make some joke about something. So I didn't put in stock. I think it was hilarious after the game whenever he's asking for how to pronounce the whiz-wap.
The whiz-wap? Yeah. He's like, that don't sound right, homie. That don't.
It's kind of shaky. Yeah, I know, but I think. Like I said, the Bucks are a good team this year. They just got deeper with adding PJ Tucker, and he has reason to be excited about his chances. So, especially with now Philly with the Embiid injury, they have some real chance to get up and make some noise here. So, I do see why Giannis does that, and he's coming to his own as a player. He has to get that swagger, that confidence, and you need that stuff from your star player. So, no, it was good to see.
Any reason to be concerned about Brooklyn and the injuries that we see them continue to have with Kyrie and Kevin Durant and James Harden having to be a one-man show?
Not if James keeps playing like this. I don't think so. I think he's fantastic. He's really cemented his place in that MVP conversation. Top 2, top 3, however you want to slice it. Until Kevin Durant comes back, I don't think they're in a rush to bring him back right now, given how well they're playing without him. If James can keep that up, Bruce Brown, the guys around him, Joe Harris, those guys around him, DeAndre Jordan, then there's no rush to bring him back. But if I'm Kevin Durant, I take my time because the long haul is going to come, in the playoffs anyway.
No doubt. All right, Kelly Iko, how can the people follow you on social media?
Kelly Iko, NBA on Twitter, on Instagram. Subscribe to The Athletic. And let's talk hoops.
Let's do it. And look, I'm subscribing this week. I was finally like, you know what? I've put it off, and I keep meaning to do it.
It's $1.
Yeah. $1. Why not? You're getting some of the best coverage not just in the city, but in the country. Kelly Iko with The Athletic. Kelly, I appreciate you. We'll see you, man. Be safe out there.